It's tremendous. Yeah, what's up, team?
Steve, I've got a huge issue. Actually, my heart's racing. I've deleted all of the Intune policies. All the config profiles completely just gone.
From the test tenant.
No. Yeah, I thought it was the test tenant, and then you sent a message about the coffee, and then yeah, I did the main one.
Do we have a backup?
Yes, of course, yeah. So when we built them, we made this little document. So it's the first one is kind of
Well, wait. What is that? A bunch of papers?
Yeah. So I printed it out. Obviously, I had a few seconds to think. So
how many are there?
I don't know. Pages. There's 211.
You gotta go back in and add them.
Yeah. So it's admin template, network, DNS client, turn off multicast name resolution equals enabled, and it's that.
All right. Unbelievable. All right. We'll get started. What's the first one on the list?
Just disable multicast LLMNR. Yeah, we can just go in and do that, I guess.
What if things were just a little bit different?
Hey, Andrew.
Hello.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of an issue. I deleted all the config profiles in Intune like a few seconds ago. I had no idea what to do.
All of them?
I think so, yeah.
Live test?
Oh, yeah.
All the above?
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. Good work. Not the end of the world. That must have taken you a while. But anyway.
Well, literally just a few seconds, really. Surprisingly quick to do, actually.
It's surprisingly easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we have Tenant Manager. Log in, grab yesterday's backup, grab the ones you've deleted, hit restore. We're good to go.
Right.
Should be that easy.
Sounds easy. Try it. Let's.
Don't make a habit of this, though.
Well, I'll try. How do I share a screen on this thing? I will try this one. Let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Excellent.
Okay. Find the policies you've deleted. If it's all of them, select them all.
Well, yeah, it's all of these, I think. Just clicked it. And so...
Yep. Hit the restore button.
Backed up last night.
That'll do. That'll do nicely. Recent enough.
And that's easy. I just click confirm and it's all done.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Wow. We didn't talk about how we were going to end that bit. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. But thanks for jumping in. I mean, I'm surprised how quick it was to delete those policies. I mean, I did spend probably 2 or 3 minutes. I sped it up for the video, obviously, just to.
I think it's the only thing in the Microsoft world where it doesn't ask for confirmation.
Yeah, it just removed them and then didn't kind of. I had no idea where I would get them back from. We can bring Steve back in now, I think, because Steve, you promised you would get American during that. We talked about it, and you were very restrained. I don't know if you're shy on camera or anything.
No one told me the rating I had to adhere to, so you never know. I didn't know isolate certain viewers or
Okay.
On the level of 10 to Ice Cube, we wanted it more at the 10 level rather than the War of the Worlds.
fair enough.
All right. So excellent. I have a few questions that I've already prepared, really, because I wanted to kind of touch on some of the things that we promised we'd do in this webinar. And I'll kind of shout them out, and then if you have any thoughts on it, you can just jump in. Obviously, we're taking questions on LinkedIn and YouTube. Both YouTubes, we have a couple of YouTubes running at the moment. So at any point, just jump in and ask a question. We have a team answering questions, the team who know stuff about Tenant Manager. Obviously, we have people here who know about Tenant Manager, I'm sure, but yeah, got quite a few things going. Okay, perfect. So the first question I wanted to ask either of you is, what is the first thing you should check when an Intune policy seems to stop working? So if BitLocker just stops encrypting disks and stuff, what would you do?
My side, certainly recently, if BitLocker's stopped working, somebody's changed it. That not necessarily somebody in the building. It could be Microsoft. They have a habit of playing with that policy. So I would do a drift check and see what exactly is changed in the JSON.
What's a drift check?
A drift check is where you compare the tenant to either a gold standard or itself. So you can see exactly what has changed from one day to the next.
Right. So a drift in Tenant Manager, you mean if you have Tenant Manager?
A drift in policy. Yeah. That's the easy way, because if Microsoft's changed something, I don't even think that shows up in the audit logs.
No, and that happens. Sometimes things on the back end change. So yeah, then it's like things like, did assignment change, right? It's their new PC that got thrown in. How many devices did it break on? Things like that nature.
But if you haven't got Tenant Manager, what's your option?
Audit logs.
Right.
I mean, they're fun to read, but if someone's changed something, it'll be in there. That's your easiest option, and then it'll show the old value and the new value on most things.
Yeah,
it's not. You've got to dig in through graph, I think, to get the values.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but it's troublesome.
And I guess in the demonstration I just gave, that was kind of me accidentally on purpose deleting all of the policies. But there's a chance that might happen, just complete accident. You might just delete all of them, but just delete one or two and not realize. But then there's obviously the compromise option where it's actually malicious, and deleting the BitLocker policies might be a really good way to build a machine that isn't BitLockered, and I don't know how that would help an attacker.
Yeah, I mean, if they could drop a remediation script that says grab all the key presses on this machine and store them in Azure blob.
Don't give them ideas. All right, okay. But that kind of thing, how is that different? Right, between like
the difference there is if someone steps forward and say, "Yep, I've messed up, I've deleted BitLocker," it's just BitLocker you're looking at. If you go in and BitLocker's changed and no one's moaning up to it, you're going to have to check the entire tenant and see what's been compromised, because it could be a Microsoft changed. If someone's hacked in, you don't know what they've done. It could be anything.
But then, I'm not saying Tenant Manager is the only option, right? This is a webinar for Tenant Manager, but there are other ways to solve that, including just having really good documentation. And Steve, you called out when I brought up the bits of paper with all the policies on. I mean, that was a genuine thing. As a consultant, I was delivering to customers.
It is.
A little while.
Same. Yeah, no, there's as-built documentation, there's reference architectures. There's nothing wrong with that. I would say that's more valuable when you're going to make a plan change, to have, some reference. But I think the biggest issue you're going to have in a I'll say a disaster situation like that, when you're in that position I was in where you get that phone call, is the time. That was going to take, that was your day if you're lucky. That was your whole day of putting everything back, reading from instructions manually. Versus, I mean, it probably would have been your night too, right?
Yeah.
It depends. There's organizations with over 100 profiles and policies, so it's time, right? Time to get back up to production, which is usually, time is usually money.
Yeah.
On that,
Or if it's conditional access, time is praying you don't get breached while you're putting them back in again.
Well, that's that too. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. So next time I go in and prepare to break a tenant, how can we make sure that we can recover faster? I mean, obviously, one option would be to implement Tenant Manager, which I did for this demo tenant I did, and it was very, very quick to set up. So, what's the other options though?
There are community tools to back up policies and restore them. Settings catalog you can export and import. It'll be quicker than manually doing it, but it's still going to be time consuming because it doesn't do assignments. Community tools are probably your best bet, but there's the risk there that it doesn't work and you have no one you can call.
Yeah, I mean, community tools are probably good for learning stuff and for, I don't know, maybe what is the risk of community tools other than it goes wrong and doesn't work and you can't raise a support ticket with anyone because it's literally community? Or other than that, are there any risks of using community stuff?
Support's the big one. Data sovereignty potentially,
right?
Because you're relying on normally one or two people. I haven't seen many community tools with a whole team behind them.
Yeah.
So it's the security sometimes not there because they don't have to abide to ISO 27001 and all the other bits that come with it.
Right. And I assume, I mean, that policy that I just restored, it was CIS, and I assume they have to have membership of CIS in order to push those policies to tenants and that kind of thing.
Yeah. To get the official CIS policies, you have to be a CIS vendor.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think the community risk, it's going to come back to the operational side as well, right? It's a lot of the community tools aren't set it and forget it. They're run them, you get your backup, and you have to store it somewhere, right? And where are you storing it? Remember where you store it. That's usually my problem, is memory related, human memory. And there is a certain level of there's a certain assumption of skill, I think, with some of these tools, of knowing whether it's PowerShell or maybe some things in the graph or some Azure bits like that. And some of us, I mean, there's a cost involved in that, to say let's say an organization made a decision to use a community tool because it's free. There's a cost involved in your resources understanding what goes on in that, right? As opposed to just investing in a backup solution that's you're not doing anything.
It's your senior third line staff managing it rather than your service desk staff, who are
exactly
significantly more expensive.
Right. So there's a cost to everything. That's what I always just say. It's to consider. Like nothing's free. So something
And of
to
course,
consider.
if you are breached and you're hosting your backups in your own Azure,
yeah,
I mean, they could just delete your backups as well.
Yeah. So we talk about data sovereignty, and I was going to say, look, it didn't really matter about data sovereignty too much because most of the tools expect you to use your own Azure environment to store the stuff.
Yeah.
And then that came to mind when you were talking about. Yeah. Okay. So it's good that it lets you store in your own place, and then you don't need to worry about who's got your data. But you unfortunately have your own data, and you've got to make sure it's secure and backed up. I guess you have to back up your backups.
You're going to have to back up your backups somewhere offsite. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So there was a moment in there where you were talking about drift, and he said you were running drift track. But what is drift, and why is it dangerous, or is it just a thing that always happens?
Drift, it's for if you've got an MSP, for example, their customers are global admins and their tenants, or you've got a big org with 20 Intune admins. You can push out the most perfect CIS baseline, But if someone goes out and changes something and they don't tell anyone, suddenly your secure environment doesn't have MFA enforced, for example, or BitLocker is turned off, and you've got no way of knowing that's happening. So drift is a way of telling you someone has changed something in this tenant. Here's what has changed. What do you want to do about it?
Yeah, and there was actually a question. I don't know which platform it was on, but I've got them here. So does the restore cover Entra elements such as conditional access policies and enterprise apps, etc.?
Conditional access, yes. Enterprise apps, not yet, because I haven't found a way of backing up and restoring them. But it does Entra authorization policies, so group settings, ability for users to add enterprise apps, all the security things in CIS level 1 and 2 are captured.
Nice. Okay. So other than doing a drift check, what's the best way to catch a drift early? If you weren't using Tenant Manager and you wanted to make sure that you were able to spot those drifts when a user turned off MFA. And that was a great one, actually, because I was thinking with longer token lifetimes now and bypassing MFA for compliant devices and that kind of thing, common tactics to reduce MFA fatigue, right? There might be a good chunk of the admins who almost never do MFA on their normal workstation. Day-to-day, they're not using MFA. And so they're not going to spot when MFA isn't active for the...
Yeah, no user's going to tell them.
No.
Yeah. Hey, admin,
Right. So
I'm not bugged as much as I used to be.
I just logged in a lot easier, just let you know.
Teacher, you forgot to give us homework.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think a lot of the times too, especially I've worked with larger organizations where there are many folks managing the Intune environment, and all different parts. So, if you're one person, you're more than likely going to have an idea of what's changed. But with larger teams, you won't always know if someone changed the wrong thing. And I think getting back, to where drift management is so crucial is to see a shift in something critical. Say, well, why are we in a different state today than yesterday, or what happened here? And there's just not enough monitoring of that in Intune.
You're talking log analytics workspaces with some sort of webhook on the top and alerts. It's not easy.
There's a lot to set it up. Right. It's there's ways to do it. And I think just sometimes folks will start looking into, the ways they can use the built-in Microsoft tools to do it. And how are you going to implement that on top of your day job of managing Intune, again, without, sending Dean home to work through the night. So that's
I can imagine you would do that to me. I mean, in that scenario, you were meant to be my boss.
I meant business. I mean, a
really terrible boss to me.
He offered you a coffee, in fairness.
To be fair, he did. Yeah, but that distracted me.
I caused the deletion.
You did. You literally did. That was the premise of the video. So you just said it's more likely to happen. Drift is more likely to happen in large-scale environments. But what if you're managing many, many environments? Like you're responsible for 15, 20 tenants.
Drift is just as likely in a small environment because they're the companies who'll play.
That's true.
It's the same thing. You need to have one. If you've got multiple tenants, you really need one source of truth for where you log in and say, right, this tenant's green, this tenant's not.
What do you mean by one source of truth?
One portal. If you're managing 20 tenants, chances are you've got 20 edge browsers open with 20 different logins. Say you've got 10 staff at your MSP and you're managing 20 tenants. That's 200 accounts you're having to manage.
Yeah.
And a lot of profiles.
Yeah, we've got a question on the stream, actually. So from Andy.
Hey, Andy.
When restoring policies, get new policy object IDs, I guess is the question. Any negative implications of having to restore a policy? Is it?
So if you're doing a restore from backup, it does a whole new policy object because a lot of people want to use change control to test these things first. If you're going from dev to prod, for example, you don't want to overwrite the prod until you've tested it. If you're doing a drift revert, it amends the existing policy because that's more of a, this is an emergency, somebody's broken it, I want to push it back again.
So if I deleted a policy in that scenario, then it would be a restore.
It would restore. It would create a new policy because the other one's not there. Yeah.
Right, but it would assign the
Yes, it would reassign the policy to the existing group. You can turn that off though if you do want to do the change control route. You can do it without the assignment.
Right. Okay, so you can restore it without it.
Yes.
Any options from Microsoft to handle backups, drift, and recover configuration settings?
No.
Yep.
Yeah, just straight up. That's a valid question because this happens all the time, right? MVP community people say something, ABC, XYZ, and we're like, hey, there's an issue, something you should address. And it's such a big deal that, we look for something official out of the box and it's just, yeah, it's not there. Microsoft's not saying it's not important. I guarantee you, if we were to bring in, someone from Microsoft right now, they would say, yeah, that's something to consider. But, it's just one of those things where they're not going to have tools for everything. But that doesn't mean, which is why the community is so large and why any conference you go to, there's a million booths with pens and socks who can, they're filling a need that's out there. So, it's always worth looking at tools like that. But yeah, this would be a vendor thing.
And if they
for
did,
sure.
how many people are using M365 backup compared to Veeam, Metallic?
Yeah, that's a good point. Even if there was a tool to back stuff up, although, yeah, they'd probably just charge a lot for it because that's the problem with M365 backup is it's incredibly expensive and doesn't really do everything you need it to do.
And it's still stored in Microsoft.
And
yeah.
So yeah, even if there was a inbox solution, it's not necessarily the only option. Good. Okay, so you talked about having, if you have multiple tenants, how can we make sure that we have a good starting point when we're configuring tenants? Is that is there a normal way to do that, like a native way to do that? Like a good start.
Steve, you've done thousands.
Yeah, no. So we'll take this in steps. The first step is we know there are Intune security baselines built in, but you have 3 MVPs in a room, we're going to tell you probably not to use them, and there's several reasons. So there's been several community standards that I think are a great place to start. As far as these are the baseline settings you should have in your tenant. I mean, I'm working with a lot of MSPs now on this thing because as Intune grows, it makes sense the MSPs, ask of managing Intune would grow. So, yeah, I would say you got to find a good baseline, whether it's a community tool or a vendor tool. I've actually personally used the UC Toolbox for the longest time. So thanks, Andrew, for that. But now, and I believe I could pull that out right in Tenant Manager.
Yep.
So that's in there. And that's a good place to start. And I think, having the baseline for all your tenants is a good start because every organization is going to have nuance and tweaks, right, to it. But you always have to come back to that foundation. So I would definitely start with something that's been, tried, tested, used, and that's definitely one of them out there. And then that's another side of drift, though, just touching back on that, is how many of your tenants are drifting from that baseline. It's like comes back to the don't touch it kind of thing. Like just put it, like we set it up, it's working. Let's keep everyone in that standard. So yeah, try to find something that's already put together, I would say, is super helpful.
And don't just throw in CIS.
No, you don't want to. You don't just want to use CIS.
It's quite difficult to just throw in CIS, though. I remember, like a couple of years ago, when I was trying to implement CIS with a customer, throwing it in was not something I was ever a risk. It was a lot of work to get it in.
It's easier if you use Tenant Manager because they're all in there, but I still wouldn't recommend just blindly assigning them all because it'll break autopilot and a couple of other things.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to break autopilot. That's not
a good idea.
We could break hybrid autopilot. That would make my day. Although Microsoft already did.
Yeah, that's already broken.
Ah, all right, you said it.
Okay, so just a quick shout out to Chris. Hi there, Yuri, and also Philip. Hello,
And Steve. Hi,
Steve as well. There you go. You're in chat. Focus, Steve.
Well, I'm saying hi to the people. I didn't know you were going to say hi on the thing. I was trying
Yeah.
to be polite. You know, you can only get so American before you have to turn it around.
Just
And,
be. You're just trying to be nice. I get it. You're making up for it. We talked. So that was all about config, right? Does Tenant Manager backup apps?
No, it doesn't, because that's not us. That's a Microsoft thing. When you do an Intune win, it's an encrypted zip within a zip. So if you've looked at an Intune win, it's a zip file. You can rename it to .zip, and inside that zip file, there is another zip file with an encryption key. When you upload it to Intune, it takes the inside zip file, stores it in blob storage, and nobody knows what they do with that decryption key.
there's theories.
There's theories, but nobody's confirmed it yet.
People are trying.
I've been trying for years.
But
so whilst you can fish the Intune win files back out, they are encrypted.
yeah, you're not gonna.
And even if you upload them to the same tenant, it can't do it because it's looking for the inner zip file.
Right. So I guess the only way to do that would be to have already just kept all the Intune win files somewhere else.
Yes,
or storage somewhere,
or something like RoboPack, which can give them to you.
I was gonna say, from setting up so many tenants, I will say the one thing I've rarely seen is folks holding on to their Intune wins. They should hold on to the source folders as well. Like, my recommendation is always, build a directory. Hold on, there's a QR code on my face. I can't see.
There is indeed a QR code on your face.
He's blind.
That's okay. I can't. That's all right.
Yeah.
I took
it off. Sorry, my bad.
I had to be a pain there. Nah, you can throw. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I should replace my face with something. Yeah, no. It's just one of those things that some folks should do. They should have a directory, just like, back in ConfigMan days, you had all your source files, right? But going back to Intune, I just don't see that as much. So we can say we should have it, but that doesn't mean we're gonna have it. So yeah, I think that's another area where we really need a third party on the app side, both for recovery and for management.
And obviously, RoboPack does do that thing where it stores that Intune win file for you. It also stores the folder you uploaded if it's your custom file. So it stores the source files and it stores the PSADT. So you can get it back at any point, because it kind of needs it to push it to multiple tenants, because that's one of the things that it can do, obviously, where you can test it in one tenant and then deploy it to your other tenants that you manage. And obviously it needs to retain that Intune win in order to send it to different tenants. So
right.
But it's interesting that doesn't, I always assumed you could just download the Intune win file, or at least get it from Graph or something like that.
Yeah, technically, yes. You can't do anything with it.
Oh, I see. Well, even if I can download it, I can't open
You can download it. It is in public blob storage.
Of course it is, yeah. Everyone downloads it when they download it.
Yeah, literally anyone in the world could download it if they knew where it was, but you can't do anything with it.
Okay. Steve, you've done a lot of tenants. You've done is probably the wrong word. You've built a lot of tenants. You've maintained. You've helped manage and set up. Is there any gotchas or issues you've seen come up time and time again that you think are the chance going to make an outage happen in the future?
Yeah, I one of the most common is no clear direction of where, what's being assigned. I see this all the time. I see hundreds of profiles going to various groups or all devices with 80 exclusions on them, or users and device groups. And the problem is, when it goes to make a change, you're going to see it's hard to determine impact. That's the one thing we don't really have in Intune. If I change this policy, who am I impacting? We have that with like conditional access, right? The what if type thing. But that's just not something we have with configuration policy. So I think sometimes we may look at something and say, oh, well, I'm going to change this because this is not affecting anyone. There's no one in this group, maybe. But that's not accurate from looking at it. Yeah, generally, that's the biggest thing I see as causing issues. And having a way to go back immediately would be nice, but most folks don't have that. So, yeah, I would say try to keep your assignments organized. That is where documentation is kind of helpful because you can reference it. But honestly, I could probably count on one hand the number of times someone has not only kept documentation, gone back and looked at it before changing.
And
out of-
updated it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
updated it. So
Yeah.
it's low odds.
And of course, watch for conflicts, because if you have two conflicting policies, neither applies.
You're lucky if it's just two. I've seen recently. I've seen tenants with double-digit overlap and conflicts of policies. And it's not always, it's not to say someone is doing that out of, any kind of malicious intent, or not even because they don't know what they're doing. But if you think about people take over in an organization, they try to clean up, right? Or they're taking things in a new direction. It's very hard sometimes to determine what was done before. So they believe they're doing something good and, reassigning, rebaselining, but things build up, and that's where conflict and debris comes from. I like that term, debris.
Debris is a good word.
Yeah.
I was thinking, when you're configuring conditional access and it's so insistent that you don't include yourself in case you lock yourself out of the tenant.
Yeah.
That's one
and
of
of course, you're a global admin, so you're the person who should be included in all these policies.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's kind of Microsoft protecting not you as the organization. Because when you see that, you think, great, Microsoft have my back. They're going to make sure I'm not going to click anything wrong. But they're not protecting you. They're protecting their support teams who need to recover your tenant when you do lock yourself out.
Yep.
Which is interesting because there's no other protections. Like you say, I was able to delete all those policies. Could multi-admin approval help at any point to stop that drift?
It only supports scripts and apps last time I checked. So
and who's using how?
If you're adding a script, yeah, fine. But
yeah, that's Dean. You said something really important about it letting you do that. I say this to people all the time. There are many places in Intune where it should not let you do certain things, whether they be like things that are just known this won't work, or things that will have critical repercussions. There should be giant red boxes, alerts, even a prompt to say, are you sure you want to have a bad day? So that's all the more reason we have to be cautious here, because it will let you do some outlandish stuff and hit save. So
like hybrid autopilot, for example. I mean, it's still there as an option.
It lets you do it.
And yeah,
it just lets you.
It's not just going to give you a bad day. It's going to give you bad months.
It's going to ruin your life. I'll say it.
It certainly had an effect on me, as you can tell. We have some questions. So apparently, if we put that QR code back on your head, we can win Pop-Tarts. Is that right?
Hey, it's if you want to put it on my head. That's
what people don't realize is it's not on the screen. These QR codes are actually appearing in our rooms.
It was right here. It was on my head.
Yeah. So
did that.
Question: is there a way from either Intune or the client side, or a tool, to identify which Intune config policy is controlling a particular system setting, similar to how RSOP in GP result works?
Nothing I'm aware of.
That's a great idea.
I think Copilot might, if you ask it the correct question in the right way. But
yeah, that'd be.
Oh,
that'd
no,
be nice.
no, I didn't ask Copilot that question. I asked the question.
No, I mean security Copilot in Intune. I think that will tell you what it's setting.
Right.
Yeah.
Does Tenant Manager have any way to do that? At least like policy overlaps and conflicts and that kind of thing.
Conflicts are coming. I'll see if we can do any. So the problem with RSOP is it's knowing exactly what it's doing at the other end, which is really tricky.
Got it. Oh, that was that question there. Sorry about that. Came in quite late on the stream.
That's that benefit of going to a clientless. That's right. The whole trick, right? When you go to clientless, well, Intune Windows is the client, but the whole thing about Intune is, getting that. What's the device doing? Having it talk back. That's kind of the whole conundrum in this whole journey.
And the registry keys live in completely different locations sometimes.
Yeah.
You look in the one you used to, and then it's not there, and then it turns out it's within some policies sub key somewhere.
Yeah. So just a quick hi to Akash. I forgot to say hi earlier on. Akash, thanks for joining. And also there was a question.
Hi to Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Sorry?
Dustin said hi.
Oh, of course, Dustin.
Hey, Dustin.
Mark, excellent. So it was a comment actually. Reporting is missing on where an Intune group is assigned.
I think from the group perspective, like you can't click on a group and see how many things are being targeted to it, all the policies, all the apps, all the scripts, which I think is how most of us think in terms of managing environments. So yeah, that definitely is a piece that's missing. It's almost like Intune backwards. So
it's almost like the Intune team and the Entra team don't talk to each other.
No, I don't believe so.
Let's not.
Yeah.
So, there's a question on the stream that I didn't see. An MSP, as MSP, we need to sometimes create documentation of tenant testing. Will Tenant Manager cover this? Thanks,
it is on the roadmap. Yes. It's not going to be in the next couple of weeks, but yeah, we will be implementing documentation. It's harder than it looks because you've got to get the English value of the JSON. But yeah, we're working on it.
Wow, that is complicated. So a question from Matt, does the Copilot for Intune need an SCU?
It does.
Being a security compute
unit.
Wow.
Yes.
SCUs. We call them SCUs in America. And yeah, you're going to need 3 SCUs an hour. That's the recommendation. So
how much is
SCUs?
Just remember to turn them off. They've put a pricing calculator online now.
Have they?
Yeah.
Yes. How much is a SCU?
Launched.
$4.
If you look on the Security Copilot What's New page.
I turn them on, have panic in my chest, and then turn them off when I'm done testing, and just clean up all the sweat. But
I turn them on, forget they're there, and then have the panic when the email comes from Microsoft saying your subscription is about to run out. You're switching to pay as you go.
I genuinely haven't tried this out yet because I am terrified.
I was right.
You were exactly right. Yeah. So $4 per SCU. So you need 3 SCUs.
It recommends 3.
They recommend 3 SCUs. Hey, Derek, and hey, Nilish.
I'm running 2, but it's only me. And it doesn't.
But it needs more the bigger the tenant.
The more questions you ask.
The more, yeah. Well, it's also the kind of, I was told depends on the question too.
Yeah.
I've had it fall asleep with 1 or 2. 3 seems to be keeps going, but like I've tried 1 and it answered a question and then, went off to lunch or something. So it's like I'm out. So yeah.
So we're talking like $12 to $14 per hour. Just to get some real value out of Copilot.
Yeah.
To do.
Yeah, to see it really home. Yeah.
Andrew, you suggest I could have asked that question about where RSOP.
Yes, you can interrogate a device and it'll tell you what policies are assigned. It should dig in further.
Right. That's clever. And then you mentioned turning it off. As I say, I haven't tried it because I'm just terrified I'll lose my house if I turn it on. Is it possible to use it and then turn them off so you don't get charged?
Yeah.
You have to delete it to turn it off, though, don't you? I think.
Okay. Yeah, you delete the SCU.
You delete from Azure. You delete the SCU.
So you like provisioning and renting a CPU or GPU. I don't know. NPU? I have no idea.
Kind of, yeah. There's a few. I know Jory, who's in the chat right now, and a few other MVPs have written some pretty good pieces on best practices for, we'll say, spin up, spin down of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to learn a bit more about it. Maybe I can just ask you. I mean, we did talk about it.
That's all I know. I just told you all I know.
All right. I will.
A few of us are security copilot MVPs now, so you can come and ask us
Ooh.
for help.
When you say us, do you mean you are?
I am. Yeah.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, why are you doing so much talking? Let the expert answer.
I forgot.
Okay, so audits and insurers was the next topic that we said we would cover, because compliance and one of the reasons that you might need to restore from backup is because either disaster or malicious attack, where you might need to claim on some kind of insurance policy. So what's the most important thing to do to prepare for some kind of insurance audit or something where you need to prove that you are actually compliant with whatever rules there are?
I mean, they all specify backups. They don't specify what of. So most people assume that's emails, Teams chats, files. But we know what insurance companies are like. No, they'll, you have a car crash and they say, that tire is slightly worn, it will not cover you. They'll find an excuse, and at some point Intune will be that excuse. We found evidence your Intune was breached, you had no backups of it. We're not covering you.
Right. It's not a good story, though, is it?
Not the best. No. Not if you've been ransomware.
It's true.
So in that case, how do you know your backup actually works? How do you actually check that?
Do a trial restore. It's the same with the old VM days. You had a virtual machine, you backed it up every week, and then someone deletes the VM accidentally. You go and restore the backup, and it hasn't worked for 6 months because the tape was full, or somebody pulled a plug out somewhere, and you don't find out until 6 months later. So you need to do regular restores like you did in the old on-prem days with your virtual machines.
Right.
And somebody once told me data doesn't exist if it's not in 2 locations, which I think is a thing to live by.
Wow. Okay. Data doesn't exist unless that's like a philosophical thing. Does a tree make a noise if it falls?
It's a good takeaway for everyone here.
Yeah.
That's good.
I guess the other thing, we talked briefly about conditional access, and tenant manager obviously does backup conditional access, which is useful. But is conditional access still the primary way we should be protecting our tenant? Is there like not a new AI-driven way we should be protecting our Entra tenants?
Conditional access is the front door to your tenant. It's like the front door to your house. You can have BitLocker, you can have Laps, you can have all the rest. But if you leave your front door unlocked, it's like you've got a safe in your living room, but you've left the front door unlocked, and they just come in and take the safe.
Yeah, the thing about conditional access, if you jump into the zero trust train for a second, which is buzzword, everyone's sick of it, but when you look at that architecture, in the center of everything is a policy engine, right? That's interpreting signals and letting things in and out. That's what conditional access is in the Microsoft world. And I think that goes lost on a lot of folks. It is the engine. It's the zero trust engine for the Microsoft suite of security products, whether it's Intune, Entra, Defender, whatever you're using. All the signals, like Andrew said, go to the front door, and it's making decisions all day long. Let you in, tell on you because you're risky, block you, let you in with stipulations. So yeah, I think that's good. And to not have a backup of that, not only do you have to recreate it, but yeah, your tenant is then vulnerable to everything. So it's very critical. Very critical.
They have made some improvements recently on that, haven't they? About policy coverage. I was just trying to find it. Yeah.
I think everyone watching should go and have a look at their sign-in logs now and see just how many failed sign-ins they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a good point. And often you can find that you just block a particular country, and then I'm not
It's still,
specifying.
but that's still post. The conditional access doesn't kick in until the sign-in has been successful. So you'll still see those failed sign-ins in your logs. Even if you're blocking a country, that doesn't happen until successful sign-in.
Oh,
because conditional access is run after authentication.
interesting. I was trying to find the analytics, and I saw something pop up there from was it Matt?
Yes.
Saying welcome to Texas in December. I can't even think that far ahead right now. I am really we're in MMS in
I know.
in Nashville sooner than that, but I'm looking forward to Texas again. Thanks, Matt, for that message. The question was, are you going to be talking about tenant manager and recovery during that event?
If John lets me, yeah, absolutely.
Talk about it. It doesn't
All the
even
time.
have to be a session in the lobby, like where the snacks
Yeah,
are.
we'll
I would
just
stand
talk.
there.
Steve,
just
you're on the
talking
board, aren't you?
about
We'll just talk about it constantly.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But you just start mumbling to yourself and then gather a crowd of people who want to talk about it.
I just say tenant manager in every conversation. I'm pleased to meet you, tenant manager.
Yeah. Is using conditional access in what if recommended before you deploy? And I think that is not the question I would have asked.
What if is when you're building the policy? It's report only mode once you've deployed.
Report only. I think I couldn't remember what it was. The audit version of that.
I call it audit mode, but it's report only. Yeah, that would be recommended, right? What if
you got to be careful with
constructing
Android and iOS, haven't you? Because it pops up a notification on the screen.
Yeah. So do be careful with that. It'll scare people. People scare easily.
Yeah, indeed. But this one here where it says block password high risk users, this is in report only. The thing that kind of always confuses the customers I speak with before I've explained to them how to use report only is that in the past it didn't report. You don't get a report. It's not report only, and there is a report that you get, and that's the only thing you get. It's literally not just. It's just not going to enforce it. That's the report only.
But it'll tell you it's not enforcing it if you look through the logs.
If you look at the place where it might have enforced it or not,
you have to go look. I think that's the big confusing part. They're waiting for well, I didn't get a report. It's like you ain't getting a report. You have to go look and see. And there are ways, of course, you can set that up. I know insights and reporting, you can set up some things and try to collect some data, but you have to go hunt. You have to hunt for it.
Yeah, indeed. It's confusing, I think. But then I'm sure there's a new thing, and I think it was an insight and reporting, but it looks like I've
if you go back to your policy.
Yep.
And then at the top, you've got view policy impact. That's the new thing.
Ah, that's it. See, that's why I bring MVPs onto these kind of calls. Because they really know their stuff. So this is it, where it will show you sign-on activity over time and whether it was applied or not applied. That is good. This one is a tenant that no one signs into, so you can imagine there's not a lot of data here. But that is useful. So, Matt, to answer your question, which I hope I've remembered correctly, you should probably look at the policy impact after you've deployed it in report only and see what that'll be, and obviously do all the other stuff you do in report only and make sure it's not going to have an impact before you turn it on.
What if tool is good, but you have to make sure you get every field exactly right because you have to match what your users are going to be doing.
And the attacker, right? Because I see a lot of customers who kind of put their exact use case here of the people who they want to be able to log in, and they go, "Cool, it worked," and then
it's let them through, but then they put the attacker and actually lets them through as well.
Yeah, the inverse also works. So it's that's interesting. Good. So there's some more questions come in. Is there a way to confirm conditional access is in place? For example, I used to use ping. I used to ping my private S3 buckets in AWS to confirm they were blocked. Are there any watchers you can recommend? Lately, I see users just reporting that they haven't been prompted for MFA in X days, and that something I brought up right at the start, right? If you did disable MFA, almost no one would tell you, and that's mainly because the people who normally manage this kind of stuff and would be responsible for telling you, feel responsible for telling you, would be the people who are going to be using a compliant device, and you've probably bypassed MFA on compliant devices. So it's something you're not going to really spot. I think is the huge problem with that.
There's general testing involved when setting these up. I mean, I still do the practice of, we build a conditional access policy, do report only, but, you also, put it live for a test group and create those scenarios for yourself and make sure it's blocking what it's supposed to and letting in what it's supposed to. That's going to validate. Always pilot groups. Nothing goes out to everybody all at once, no matter what it is. That's just good hygiene.
Thanks, Laura. I've moved my head now, so the QR code is no longer on my head. There you go. It's move my head.
The old-fashioned fix.
Yeah. Oh, that was it for questions on the chat. Okay, good. So, Andrew, I didn't ask you what is the worst thing you've seen. What is the worst thing you've either done or seen? You can choose whether you own up to doing it.
In my entire career, or
go on then.
Just Intune related?
Oh, wow. Okay. Because we can go to the entire line.
I'm elderly, remember.
Just let's do Intune related, or at least tenant manager, because that's the topic.
The biggest one I did was turning on require compliant device on a tenant without any compliant devices.
Even though it warned you like 17 times.
Yeah, but that's how we roll, isn't it? I had to hack my way in through Graph to turn the policy off again and let me back in.
Oh, and then you uncovered a way to bypass your conditional access policy.
Yes.
That's a good one, actually, because a lot of people don't include that in the apps, do they?
No.
They kind of just say, "Oh, I don't want anyone to get my email, so I'll block the Office portal," and then you can just get it.
You just go through Graph and get to the emails that way. Yeah.
Terrifying. Okay, I've done nothing really that bad, to be honest. I've not got anything I can suggest I've done wrong. At least.
Oh no.
Not since
You've said it now.
No, you're right. But I don't do anything anyway. It's fine. I just make videos, so it's not like I've got access to people's time. Good. So that was all the questions I had written down, which is actually quite a lot, and we've covered.
I want to know what Steve's done wrong.
Pass. No. I deleted Office 365 from about 10,000 machines on a Friday night once. I thought it would be fun. No, it was an accident. It was we're deploying some new autopilot devices and using the built-in Office suite, and it's got the remove previous MSI things. Now, in my defense, I scoped it to a pilot group, but there were some people playing, so drift management, who said, "Oh, this should be everybody," and yeah, they weren't licensed, or it just got rid of all the. I got a call on a Saturday morning. I was like, "Yeah, that's something." That was a while ago though, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, that's Office. You could get around that. I mean,
I've done that with Project, where you deploy Project and then you forget to untick the box and suddenly they lose everything except Project. Well,
exactly. Yeah. If I never heard such crying, I'll tell you. People calling up and they were just.
People like their apps and stuff, don't they?
They like Word,
They like having them. They don't like them. They'll always complain about the apps themselves, but then they complain when they're not there. We can't win.
Indeed.
Of course.
I'm going to quickly share my screen because I realized that I didn't actually show what happened when we restored that. Let me. Not let me share my screen. That's a shame.
Just act it out.
So what happened was, so I pressed restore, and then I had to give that change control. I gave that change control as we were going through those questions. And if I just click share again, there he is. So it's done now. It has restored that. And if I head back into this portal, it has restored them. So there's all the policies that you saw me deleting. earlier on, I did genuinely delete them, and you can see its last modified date is today, around 25 minutes ago, according to the time here. 25 minutes ago is about right. Yeah, it's about right from when I actually clicked go, because I was distracted by running a live stream. So yes, that's them back, which is much quicker than me and Steve having to go through, and you can actually see how long it took to restore each policy as well if you look at the time as it goes down there. Do you think we could have restored that quickly, Steve, if we kind of went through this?
Get a few more iced coffees going. Not that fast, but that's rapid fire. No, that's good. And in my own experience with Tenant Manager, right, I've tested it in. I actually used my master tenant to build a few other tenants out, just as the gold. Like I built a gold master for my own, and yeah, it's just as fast building new tenants. That was pretty wild to be able to spit them out that fast. So I think it's whether that's the situation or if it's a restore from backup, you're not going to get back up and running that fast on other
That
ways.
is a really good point.
Yeah.
Because let's say your tenant is actually completely destroyed because of a ransomware incident or something like that, then being able to restore to a completely different tenant that you've set up with the same kind of settings, and at least give you some kind of bootstrap to get yourself back up and running. That's much better than having to start completely from scratch with absolutely everything. And then you tie in a backup solution. I'm not going to name any, but there have been some named. That would really get you back up and running if the worst actually did happen, I think.
And of course, if you're an MSP onboarding new customers, we're not going to tell the customer that you're taking 10 minutes to deploy a tenant. If you want to charge them for a week, charge them for a week.
No one, MSPs don't do that. They advocate value for their customers, and they do not. We've got a lot of MSP partners, obviously, and they obviously do everything as efficiently as possible and charge just for the skills they're using to do that.
Yeah.
Good. So a quick question from Matt. I wish CA had a warning beside report to give admins. Oh, I see. Instead of an audit report.
Yeah, they have the little "don't lock yourself out" thing when you're building it. So I guess it's a little warning, but I think beyond that, if you go through with it, you go through with it. So
yeah. Also,
and if you do exclude yourself, just keep in mind that global admins really should be the most protected in your tenant, not the least protected in your tenant.
Probably shouldn't be poking around as a global admin. But that's a whole other conversation.
That's a good point. But yeah, when it says exclude yourself, it means just temporarily, not.
Yeah, don't leave it there forever.
Yeah, you should put yourself back in,
and don't forget your break
above the rules.
So when it all does
break class.
Yeah, and also actually, Azure AD Connect, Entra ID Connect these days now can run as the service principal, can't it? So or enterprise app, actually enterprise app, rather than a user. So you no longer need to exclude them from conditional access. Am I right there, or did I dream that? I might have dreamed that.
Is it an app registration, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. It can do that rather than having to be excluded in conditional access, because it used to be.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
That's good. So Harjit, thanks for all your help today. Obviously, that's a huge help for us. Come see us in Workplace Ninjas Switzerland in September, Nashville, and Experts Live US.
And of course, thanks Laura for setting all this up.
Of course, yeah. Experts Live US in October. I wasn't aware of that. That's cool. So Nashville, Experts Live US, Ignite in November, and Workplace Ninjas US in Dallas in December.
Obviously. And for the Europeans, also Identity Summit in Dortmund and App Manage event in Utrecht.
Exactly. Laura, thank you so much for all of your help to getting this up and running, and thanks to the team behind the scenes who have been answering questions and making sure we've been on track. That is it from us. We are pretty much at time. Thanks for all your time and attention, and we will sign off now, but we'll definitely see you next time. See you.